Here we are, punters, part 2. Back, we should mention the Emerald, always hosting us, doing a fine job. Thanks to Andy and the team.
Melbourne racing, unofficial racing pub. Yeah, come to town. This is where you go.
Special guest Nick Heathcote. Punters, punter Dan Kelly.
Yep, that's us.
How'd you go to Tour yesterday, DK? You would have found the winner there, Brent Stanley.
Brent Stanley, mate. Yes.
Your sort of margin, that one.
It was. I just saying to Nick when we got here. He said, "How are you going?" I said, "Well, had a first winning week for a bloody while, and culminating in a horse I liked at the Tour winning by 6. So you had to sort of hope finally the wheel might turn, you know."
I was watching that race, and Jay Benbow was in a beautiful spot early, and then one of the girls.
Jay Payne or someone, was it?
No. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Went around him. I thought, you don't. Just mate, just put him in a spot where he could have got unlucky. And for 200 metres there, it looked like he was going to be like he got the gap and just absolutely charged away.
Yeah, no, she's
well done.
Nice form. But yeah, so we've got Nick from Betfair, and Nick's been big on. I think the Betfair marketing strategy and things like that's been on a lot of education, Nick.
Yeah.
And that's you put together a great, the Betfair hub on the website. Maybe you could talk a bit through that, but there's a lot of great stuff on there, particularly in education-wise.
Yeah, so we've got a blended approach for our content. We understand that people learn at sort of different speeds, and there's different parts of punters' games that they need to work on. I guess the biggest part at the moment is automation and modelling, and I guess the last 3 years we've tried to, have basic previews and customer insight stories, and follow the big high-profile Group 1 events and then sporting events, and make sure that there's some sort of like professional insight on there. But now we're trying to get people that have got sort of rating systems, and then take them on a platform like BetAngel, and then create some automation and stuff like that. So yeah, we're starting to scratch the surface with some of that stuff, which is exciting. We're doing like live sort of workshops with Grass and BetAngel to try and get people's betting to the next level, get them off the clunky interface on our mobile and our desktop channel. I always say that the mobile and the desktop's like driving a Datsun, and then once you see BetAngel and Grass work, you can actually see real volume. The APIs streams a lot faster in there, and you can see a lot more cash going through rather than just sort of like three tiles and that intermittent volume tracker going up. You can actually see how much action's happening there, and you guys probably know in the last sort of 6 months you can get a serious bet on in the last 5 minutes at Betfair, and our liquidity's as strong as ever. So it's just exposing punters to like those different types of tools. Like I know I'm lucky enough to sort of set the agenda or push the education in a certain area, and the stuff that I get a lot out of are the customer insight stories and even the betting psychology, because there's always different things, or trying to get those biases or falling into like different sort of traps. And yeah, we've got a guy like Jack Horton who wrote betting on Betfair for Dummies, and his betting psychology stuff, when that comes through, it just keeps you in the right sort of headspace. And I try and read and go back through his articles. I try and read like a couple of months just to keep fresh on it, because they're just like little light bulb moments. But a
lot of the emotional side of it is a huge part of it, and a lot of the stuff in there, his stuff, and then a few of the other customer insights and things like that.
Yeah.
The guy on there, the mastermind, I read a bit of his stuff. It was really resonated with me, and stuff you got to work on and things like that. So it's and I was talking to some guys at the Betfair night the other night about the emotional, because we're all sitting at home, and there's tilt and there's all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone, we all go through the same thing, and it's keeping control of your emotions and just pressing on from one race to the next, to the next, to the next. It's a big, huge part of it. It's not something that's discussed a lot.
Yeah, and we're happy to sponsor and look after other people that are helping the education. You guys do a great job as well, and even the Business of Betting podcast, Jake Williams does them out in New York, and he's got some amazing talent there. And some of the guests that he's interviewed are just phenomenal. So yeah, it's just about trying to add little bits and pieces and parts to your game to make yourself a safer and more consistent punter. And yeah, the hub's absolutely flying, which is great, and we're keeping it unlocked as far as I know. And then VIPs sort of get invited to extra events and more. So the more turnover you do and the more stuff that you do, we just try and expose you to more and more things to improve your game. Because without winning customers, Betfair doesn't really have a...
So you've got account managers keeping an eye on, because guys will say, how do we get to Betfair functions and things like that. So you've got your account managers keeping an eye on turnover and things, and they see someone's turnover increasing, and that'll be in contact with them, and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And like, if Twitter's a great medium to get in touch with lots of people, and guys have flicked me messages out wide, or said follow and stuff like that. So if you are like super keen to get involved, there's always an event, or there's always something that we can introduce you to, new software. Or it's amazing what guys like Potts and everyone everyone's pretty free flowing in what they talk about. Not everyone gives away all their edges, but we're really lucky that our customers have really bought into the hub and the education stuff, and without them, we wouldn't have got sort of anywhere. So yeah, it's been really good.
Now, for any punters out there that are struggling with that mental side, there's nothing more important. You've got to the last month or so. There's been a bit of turbulence in the form. It's been a little bit unreliable, and at times like that, your discipline and patience will be dramatically tested, and you've got to have a robust method that allows you to get through it and not make emotional decisions. Otherwise, you just miss. The last 2 weeks, just as an example, the last race on Sunday, at the end of a long week, have been probably 2 of my better results. You know what I mean? I'm sure I've got subscribers that had not got to the end of the journey.
Not got to the end of the week.
Would be absolutely filthy on themselves.
You don't blame. That's the thing.
It's tough.
It's tough.
You're back and also you expect them to run well, and they're just they run like Native Soldier at Flemington the other week, and the August. I don't understand that yet.
Yeah.
I've thought about it for a week, and I've got no answer for why those 2 horses both ran so poorly. And it's just I just put it down to natural turbulence in the form, and you have to fight your way through it.
Yeah, I find that I just need to stay fresh. So I get to Sunday and I can't look at the form guide. I'm just mentally sort of exhausted with it, and I think I was betting horrendously in the month before I went away overseas, and I've come back and I'm just so hungry to bet and hungry to do form, and I'm just trying to isolate myself and stay off the piss and do all the right sort of things, and it's amazing how much I've enjoyed it from that freshen up.
I have a few things written down on my desk I look at every day, and the first one, the top one, is stay sharp.
Yeah.
If you're not sharp, if you're feeling cloudy and you're feeling off the mark,
go
to
lunch,
give it a miss.
Go and do something else.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You've got to be sure, because as you said, you're making blues, and the packmen will just come along and you're swimming with sharks, and a lot of the time. So
I make a real effort to keep the amount of races I actually bet in each week, and then I do a full preview one, because it takes at least on average an hour a race to a certain number. Once I get over that number, it just diminishes really quickly.
That's right there. I heard you say that a while ago. I've tried to do the same. Just but mainly, as I said in the maidens, three races a day. I don't want to do every race every day. And just do 3 or 4 a day, and that's enough. Keep you fresh. But no, it's good, mate. So the Hub's review, I couldn't recommend the Hub quite highly enough. Also, and the availability of guys on Twitter, as you said, so hit Nick up or hit me up or whatever if you want to just push it on.
Reach out.
All right, anything else you want to look at Caulfield Pots?
It was a good day's racing there.
The track had a walk and played it.
So really neat to really tight to the rail. There was a little bit of sponginess. I didn't mention it on my track report because I thought what the jockeys will do, if they notice it's there, they'll just sit half a horse further off the rail, which is what they did. So it sort of didn't make any difference. Apart from that, I thought the track raced really truly, and it was all about tempo. Slightly better to be off the rails than on the rails, but
there's a lot of mixed tempos during the day too, wasn't there?
There was, There was a bit of...
There was a crawl in the first. The first was a crawl.
Yeah.
I don't know, the leaders dominated. The second, they ran along in the Algalel race.
Yep.
He was in the good spot. Written by,
Beautiful robber, Mark Zara. He just got off the fence at the end.
That was on Algalel.
Yeah, because he was inside Octobello early and ended up outside. It was very clever.
Yeah, well, that's good because he's had a sloppily slow start this Picano, hasn't he? Just warming up?
Yeah, just warming up. He's riding really well. I think he's going to be the dominant jockey of the car if he gets the rides.
Yeah.
Because Mark's, in my mind, he's clearly the best jockey. It's just a matter of him getting the best rides.
Okay.
I'd say the same.
It's good. Written by, he sort of got there, but it'd be a lot better for the head out, I would say.
Yeah, I don't think he's that was sort of a bonus win for him. I ended up saving on him, but I was initially going to back 2 horses to beat him. One of them won at Ballarat on Sunday, fortunately, and which was good for me. And
that was that last race you were talking about, Hard Conquer?
Yep. He was going to be 40 to 1 in that race, and I thought he could have led and had a hope. Certainly would have been a nice place bet. And I backed Fine Dane
off the Moe, mate.
He's an experienced horse, and just a difficult situation for Patrick Maloney to handle, and it just didn't go right for him. But he's only been beaten half a length, so it just shows.
He ran really well.
Really well. Nice horse.
Yeah. And the what about the Adelaide horse? Did you mind his run? He was
Jai Trash.
Yeah. No.
It was a nice run.
Nice run.
Yeah, just sort of, it's one of those 1,000-metre runs. I don't know what it sets you up for, but because he's not a 1,000-meterist, but something there.
And Tulip and Shoko controlled. That was just what I had to look this morning. It was just Meech at her best.
Yeah.
Just controlling a race from them. Why we love her so much, as she does. That's a Caulfield, but she was doing it yesterday, Coleraine.
Yeah.
And
I saw Tamara win there.
Tamara won. Yeah, Tamara won. Yes. And but then a while back one set the bar high or something.
Yeah.
She completely owned that race, and she just as I said to Marco on the Twitter yesterday. There's no better sight for a punter. You've had your hard earned on her, and there she is controlling the race from the front. She'll make it difficult for anything to get past her.
Yeah.
She can just slow and increase. The old what Darren Goucher used to do. She's having to do enough work to get to the front, but then gives them a good breather without slamming the anchors on like some of the other blokes do, and then be able to keep the momentum.
My observation of her is in the country, she knows exactly what she's doing. She's got complete confidence, and she never second guesses herself. When she comes to town, she can hit the panic button a little bit because it's just that next level of competitiveness, and you don't get away with the same thing. Gee, she's good at the push.
There we go. She's there must be a staking plan or something where you could just back her in the bush. Whether it's an increasing staking plan or something, or under a certain price or something. There's got to be something you can make life really simple and just back Linda.
Yeah. That's funny. Just keep winning on all sorts.
Yeah. What was it? Anything else? Have you had anything to add, Nick, so far early in the day?
I had an okay result on the first runner. Extra Brute, I thought it was a pretty average race. That's Pakenham synthetic form. When he sort of PR'd there, I was sort of very excited, and then he took a long time to wind up, and I was sort of worried. He looks a horse to my eye that needs 2,000 or maybe further, so I sort of got away with.
Just that weary
I got away with one.
Thunderdome ran really well. I think you're on Thunderdome's time side, weren't you, Pods?
Yep.
And I got a good handle on those two horses because they're both coming off the maiden wins.
Yep.
One was running obviously a different tempo to the other, but it was a weary improver versus a nice, strong, good Espasta front running ride of a good, fit, informed horse in Thunderdome.
Yep.
On debut, I
think he could have got a bit quicker on Thunderdome.
Okay.
Yeah. Wouldn't have hurt him. He was coming off 2 solid races.
Yeah.
And he's given Extra Brute an opportunity.
To come off the slow post.
Extra Brute was coming from a very slowly run race at Sandown.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I just thought Yendel off Extra Brute. Once I watched his debut run and saw John Allen put him to sleep at that second start, I thought, he might be a horse with a bit of upside, and there wasn't much else in the race. And I was saying to DK before, sometimes you just need a photo to go your way and kick you off. So sorry, Pots, I needed that.
I think you got square later in the day. Yeah. Jungle Cat, weren't you on Lena Plenty?
I was on Lena Plenty. And dollar for dollar.
And dollar for dollar.
I needed that one on the first though as well.
It's just that's the thing. Photos does. You get one, you don't get the next one. Anyway.
It was very competitive racing all day.
Yeah.
And I split the photos okay there today because I was on with both Jungle Cat and Night's Watch, which Linda almost pinched that. That would have been.
What was she on there?
Rising Red.
Rising Red, yeah.
When the leader hung and took most of the field with it.
Yeah.
And she was the first jockey to spot it and just held her ground and went through inside all of them, saved lengths, and nearly pinched the race.
I backed it first up at the Valley, Rising Red, and I was pulling its tail on Saturday Open. It didn't win.
The price was good odds, wasn't it?
Yeah, $19 or something.
Nice horse.
Yeah,
that's a really good building run.
Cracking, yeah.
I haven't got a great handle on that Brisbane winter form, but it achieved some pretty good things up there. Just looking at the ratings to win.
Yeah, maybe numbers, its last start it might have just bottomed out up in Brizzy, but it was going well. I think it won, and then it must have bottomed out, and it's come up really well fresh, really well then. When I didn't think it was super on the weekend. So yeah, it's probably in for a
I had it in my little walk because don't even consider till third up, and it's run 2 cracking races. So.
I mean, the second half in a part 3 Pots, or what do you?
We might as well keep going. It was loaded up slow. Sorry, punters. If it comes, it'll be Monday night this week. Punters won't know. They will though.
They went berserk in B Park.
I didn't like it.
On our Sarah Jojki is a.
I mean, Eduardo's going to be in every black book in the country, which is a bit dangerous because that's a young horse. That
could have.
that she's going to need to be careful with that horse.
Yeah.
That was extraordinary. I mean, she's got that. IPO
YPO
hasn't got a bad record. Eduardo's completely busted it. It's out of back. He
It's
does a back
gasping
wall.
at 200. Yeah.
You know, the winner's got the most beautiful
That's the
sweet
perfect
spot run.
sweet spot run in the double pressure.
It's a 1400 metre race, so 14 horse field, and it found that spot on its own.
Amazing,
How does it happen? So to me, there's like 10 other jockeys there. They should have been outside it. They should have been fighting for that position.
Big Park's gone berserk. We'll just wait for them to compound and haven't got into the race, which can happen in those really fast run races.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You guys obviously found. I thought he was nearly running the day. We was running the day, but what my notes were like, this horse needs a big recovery after this, or he's going to be very careful. Minimum 3 weeks.
I didn't back him on today. I backed him at Sandown. I thought he'd have to improve quite a bit to win that race. And I just thought high pressure race, gate one's going to be, you're going to have pressure on your outside the whole way. It's going to take an extraordinary effort for you to win. And he nearly did it. If B Park would have his time over, he would have let YPO go.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Race 6. I've got a horn for this horse. Mystic Journey.
So it comes out of that Moonee Valley race that had the big anchor trot that Michelle Payne's horse won and beat Multaja. And every horse that come out of that race has been brought completely undone by it because it was such a terrible tempo that it's flattened them all. This is the first horse to run well out of that race. It was clearly the best run in that race. It should have won that race for sure. But I sort of pen that race. I thought every horse that's come through that race is going to need a run to straighten them out. It had a very busy run there on Saturday.
It like Crone copped the first lot of the B Preble stuff, then B Preble got around outside this horse and did it no favours at all coming around the turn, bumping it, and then he's in there and then he sort of just got himself put in the hook, just went ping. I can just put 2 links on him in the last 100. That's what I really liked. I really liked it. From no favours in the run. And,
everything about it just looked really like it's
more to
stride
give
length and
it's got a lot more to give Flemington or something. Or geez, up in distance. Or I don't know. It seemed a really good run to me. So it'll be my horse to follow, Mystic Journey.
It's got to be, straight to the 1,000 guineas and have to be a really good
1,000 guineas.
I'd imagine it'd have to be.
3-year-old fillies race,
It'd have to be. I can't think of any Melbourne filly that's going to trouble on, so maybe the Sydney ones will.
Eldorado Dreaming or something.
Oh, yeah, there's a couple of dramas there. So I thought Seabrook was average.
Yeah, I'm not keen on Seabrook.
She
hasn't grown at all.
I thought she was good first up, but now she was no good Saturday.
Anything else to add there? No? What was next? The Naturalism. Just sprint home this spots?
Oh, not really. No, I think they went a nice, solid, consistent tempo. It was just the race got mixed up when the leaders hung and carted everything too wide. Like Night's Watch was in danger of hitting the lanes that get aerated. That's how wide he was. That could have been a real issue for him. So, geez, at the 200, I thought Odium was going to win the race for sure when he got through.
That's through. He dashed through. Just nice and held up with that.
Yeah.
And dashed through, didn't he?
So and Rising ran a good run. So I mean, I haven't really looked at that race again since, but it's obviously it's a good platform and. Night's Watch heads towards the Caulfield Cup as a live chance, I suppose. I mean, just a general chat was, I used to get really excited about the Caulfield Cup, and then obviously that would get you really excited about the Melbourne Cup. I just think Pete Volandes has done the most remarkable thing. The only race, if you talk to recreational punters and people on the fringe things, the only race I want to talk about is Everest, and I understand why. They know all the horses. It's like, you think about Night's Watch as a Caulfield Cup horse, and you think straight away the first thing I think of is because I don't know who the imports will be.
Yeah, that's what exactly.
I haven't got a clue who the imports will be, so he might be a really good chance in that race, but he might not be. So it just makes it very hard to get to tune into those kind of races.
I think the Winx factors played a big part. Potts, like I used to love the Cox Plate and trying to figure out who was the up and coming Wait for Aid star and things like that. But she's sort of like taken a bit of the fun out of that race.
From a betting point of view, but it's still exciting because she's just a champion. She's good to watch. Winx is a spectator sport these days, isn't she?
Yeah. The import factor in our staying races is you can't attach yourself to those races anymore with less and less. Because they're either the horse you don't know, or they're multi-millionaires like Lloyd or Aussie Kahir who are going to spend $10 million to try and win a Melbourne Cup You know.
The only reason I'm betting them is there'll be a really good market there to bet into.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I just...
So like the sprinters now are what you can attach yourselves to.
And I don't know Randwick well enough these days, and I don't know all that Sydney form, but I might even have a bet in the Everest. You know what I mean? Look, it's just exciting.
Yeah, but I suppose to defend the MRC, that if they get international horses, all of a sudden they can sell the rights and the vision, and that's a big cash injection for them. So
I'm not it's about the public attachment to these races, you know.
But at the same time, we saw a great race, the Golden Rose on the weekend, and then you've got this horse that everyone's talking about now. But in the lead up, you haven't heard a thing about.
No, I didn't even know it was on.
Like you got the.
No, but fair enough. I'm not one, but the Golden Rose was on. I wanted the Autumn Suns one, and then I watched a replay by yesterday.
Yeah.
I come home and everyone's talking about its figures. It's run this morning. Dan O'Sullivan and Adam Blenko, and
Did
Group One.
Pegasus horse?
Zeusane.
Yeah,
Zeusane.
went
Zeusane.
I wonder how much that was worth. At the 200, he would have been organising the stud deal.
Yeah, it has to be a horse.
That's right. A fortune difference between.
It's worth a fortune.
Yeah, he's got another chance. The Coolmore Study is the horse to beat there. So
yeah.
And the Group 1 pods, you've got one on here?
Yeah, well, I mean, here we go. Like, so it's a Group 1 with all our form.
Here.
It's the
it's
the import, and I have a really good result on it, right? So it can still work in your favour, but you know, I guess the point we're making with the Caulfield Cup, it used to be a race that you get excited about months before leading into it.
I was there when Mackay Duva and Elfstrom come steaming down the straight together.
Yeah.
It was just wow.
Yeah.
You know, wow. Light and power.
I was Doremus and
I was there.
Count Chavass, I think, was in that race.
I was there as a 16-year-old. We got taken down. Brother Doug took us down from boarding school. I mean, the Vandercross was a moral, complete moral.
Yeah.
So we're all let out $20 or $30, and we're standing at the 300-metre mark. And there's this horse, and we could have patted him if he went past us. And he was like 3 in front or something. And it's one, hasn't it? Mannerism, D. Oliver, there it was.
Yeah, Dad took me in. I watched Northerly, and
Northerly,
I won't forget that.
So you're right, Pods. It's been a bit. Anyway, that's
Power. I was at the Wodonga races with Dad again, watching Light Power piss in. So.
Anyway.
No, absolutely. So look, Jungle Cat was there for everyone to see. Everyone could go on to any of the various sites and see the 3 Dubai runs where he really chased the line, which is what he did again on Saturday. So you knew he had that in him. And then you go back to July last year in a straight, I think it might have been a 1400 metre race somewhere in Newmarket or whatever, and Home of the Brave led.
Yeah, I heard them talking about
Jungle Cat sat just off him and got within half a length. There should never have been that much between them in the market. So if you were interested in Home of the Brave, you had to be interested in Jungle Cat in that race.
And it's no mean feat holding off a wheel horse late in the race. But, you know.
I'm just talking about markets again now. The market in that race was really interesting.
I thought it was weird, like Home of the Brave off a off a wet track, then back round the other way, and then if you look at the results, like how many top weights win these? I don't think any horse with 57 or 58 has even placed in the last sort of 4 or 5 years or something like that. I think it's one horse. I can't recall its name now, but I think it was Dissident as the horse that got closest in the last 5 years. That's had 57 kilos, and everything else has just been out of a drum. I couldn't have it. Home of the Brave, but then. Anyway, I've processed the race mentally, so I don't want to keep digging into the old blue. It's already closed over.
Look, the handicap in that kind of racing, Nick, tends to make the field punch. So, I would say to punters, be careful of excluding horses because they've got they're at the top of the weights, because it'll be a bunch finish. So, in races like that, it's all about fine margins. So, you really got to back the right horses at the right prices and then cross your fingers. Yeah. So I did that and got lucky, right? Because Doyle's rode really well and lifted it.
Lifted it late.
Hold
off a wheel horse,
So I was going to say about the betting. So an hour before that, my intention was, so I backed a couple of roughies, Jungle Cat, and I wanted to save on Home of the Brave. And I expected Home of the Brave to get out beyond $5 late in betting. An hour before, one of the Bartholomew's just coins it up everywhere, and all of a sudden it was 340. Was hard to get, and I'm thinking,
This is
here's my top pick's going to go around against me. Yeah, I'm just gone here, and it ran $5. So it's just an example of not panicking, And at that stage, I was still flicking over trying to watch the Demons, which was a complete disaster. There we go. So at least by Sunday afternoon, I was glad I wasn't leaving the Perth.
No, leaving Perth Stadium.
Perth Stadium, hopping in the car to drive back to Melbourne.
Yeah, driving would have been no good.
That's on suicide watch. That is.
Yeah.
You've done that.
Not a lot of ice behind the Nullarbor area.
But as I said to someone on there on Saturday afternoon, at least they're Demons fans. They're hard. You know, they're used to disappointment.
I expected.
That's it. Yeah.
If they had been Hawthorn or something, it would have been.
At least it was better than getting beaten by a kick.
Yeah,
the game or something. You know, you get to deal with it early. Okay, we're off here. What about the last, the Mares?
Oh, man. Like, honestly, Toby Edmonds just a complete mystery to me.
Tony McAvoy, now Toby Edmonds.
It's just got. I mean, YPA's pretty obvious in that race earlier on. I backed it and just like busted out the back door it goes, and he got a good run out of Hootson first up. This time I backed the first up last prep, and she was dreadful behind the Snowdens, good sprinter. And I backed one of his horses and had a run at Bendigo. Then I went to Moonee Valley, I think on Cox Plate Day.
Did, yeah, that's right.
Start with E, I can't remember the name of the horse anyway. A really good result out of it. But in that race, I backed the three obvious, just thinking that one of them will win. It's just there's nothing else in this race. All their form's hollow. I looked at her form real closely. Race morning, she's $16. Just big teams all start attracting to her in the 10, in the 8, in the 7. By the time they're going in the gates and $5 is hard to get, I've just given up.
Beside himself.
And she wins like a 6 to 4 chance.
Yeah.
So like it's a mystery to me. I can't shed any light on it, but well done.
You playing that race?
I am excited. I backed her. I had gone for a bit. She went alright.
She got caught up behind Global Glamour. And Global Glamour had an issue. So
I was heavy on her first up, and then had a smaller bet, and then the other horse I saved him was the Platinum Angel, and
big finish
there.
Yeah,
she was a nice enough run. So
Yeah,
I don't know. By that stage,
the only good part is it doesn't matter which horse you back. They can run the race 20 times and win a bride or win it every time. So don't worry about it. Like this one that completely got under my guard.
The robots.
And you just have to
that's the thing, is they bet late. You know, you get that into what have I missed here, but you can't work out what you missed, can you?
Well, let me tell you how much I knew I'd missed it, right? As they're going in the gates, I just had $200 on it, just to retrieve some of my
a sanity bet, I call that. Just
sanity bet.
Well, it wasn't, it wasn't a great retrieval, but it sort of didn't make it, because I just knew what was going to happen. Sometimes you just know you're wrong, and there it is.
Anyway, what have we got coming up? So we got this week is...
great week.
Flemington Wednesday, Moonee Valley
Flemington
Friday.
Wednesday, which is those Derby and Oaks trials, which last year Pino won the Phillies Lane.
Yep.
And then Friday.
Tavistock Abbey won the main stage in the.
Yes. And Friday's Benalla Cup Day.
And the Valley.
Valley, yeah, Group 1 Friday night.
Saturday's jumps out.
Saturday's Mornington.
Yeah.
Sunday you've got.
What a story that is. Like, so if the track work comes out okay Friday night, it looks highly likely to be straight into the Everest.
The race
How
needs
fun
it.
that could.
That's right, that just adds it.
It'd be a dream for
He's
the
one horse that
ATC.
people can still got the rules of affiliation with.
Yep.
No, all these trials and tribulations. He's still a great flash.
It's a big story, yeah. They're mad not to.
Yeah, Sunday, so it's Turnbull. Is it this? When's it? What
Underwood.
Underwood. Sorry, Caulfield the Underwood.
Yeah.
So, I'll be putting all my eggs in those three meetings, Flemington, Moonee Valley and Caulfield on Sunday, but that's plenty for us to bet on this week.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Footy on top and beautiful.
All right, thanks, Nick.
Thanks for coming,
Thanks
mate.
for having me.
Yeah,
Pleasure.
on your pods.
Hope you enjoyed that, punters.
Good luck.
I hope it's up Monday, not Tuesday, but anyway, that's where we go.
Thanks, guys.